We're continuing our journey down New Zealand, and today we'll be crossing Cook Strait to the South Island. Along the way, we're stopping in Palmerston North. I'll be checking out Brew Union for some fresh beer and pizza. But first, no visit to New Zealand would be complete without a little bit of rugby. After leaving Hawke's Bay, we're heading south with a stop in Palmerston North. Palmerston North, in the heart of the Manawatu region, is located in the lower North Island. Manawatu has dramatic coastlines, beautiful rolling countryside, and ancient native bush to explore. Grab your backpack. It's also home to the world's first rugby museum. Director Stephen is taking me on a quick tour of the world's first museum dedicated to the oval ball.
Welcome along to the New Zealand Rugby Museum. We've been around for over 50 years now. The museum you see here today was redeveloped in 2011 for the Rugby World Cup. So we've been here now for, oh my goodness, 11 years. Time flies.
It does.
I've been with the Rugby Museum since 2008. I came in looking for a part-time job and I'm still here. Oh my goodness.
You're rugby royalty as well.
Yeah. I just about feel like I'm one of the exhibits. The town of Rugby is where the game came from.
From a small independent school in central England in 1823, rugby has grown into one of the world's biggest competitions.
So they say that the top two world tournaments or world events are the Olympics and the Football World Cup, and the third is the Rugby World Cup. So it's a big event.
Yeah.
And New Zealand started it.
All right then, let's see some of the nation's true treasures.
One of the really special objects that we've got here at the moment is this All Blacks jersey. It's the jersey of a guy by the name of Jum Turtle, and it's from the third ever test match played by the All Blacks. So as far as we know, this is the oldest All Blacks jersey in New Zealand. You can see when you look at it, it's made of wool, and it's got a very robust sort of yoke across the top. We're really privileged to have this object, connecting us back to a game that took place in 1905.
How special.
Now the All Blacks didn't always wear black. Here is a navy blue jersey with a gold fern. So the All Blacks from the period of 1884 could have been the All Blues, couldn't they?
Yeah.
This is a group of young Māori lads that organised their own tour. Joe Warbrick, now Joe had 4 brothers, and the Wynyards there were 3 brothers. They organised their own rugby tour, and they were away from home for 1 year and 2 months.
Whoa.
Played 108 games on the tour. They wore these black jerseys with a silver fern, and this is the first time that we've seen this happen. So the caps worn by rugby players started again at rugby school. Queen Adelaide visited rugby school, and the boys found out that she was coming, and in honour of her visit they decided that they better wear red crimson velvet caps, and she was really struck by it, and so the boys decided that they would keep wearing them. In 1930 the British Lions came to New Zealand and playing in navy blue. Now the problem with navy blue because it looks quite a lot like black.
Oh.
So the New Zealand team hurriedly had to redress themselves in white jerseys. You can see what a rough job they did. Almost looks like they cut it out
Just
and
chopped
then
it out of
hand snitched it onto a white jersey. This is a jersey from the New Zealand University tour to Japan. That's a Japanese all-Japan team. This is actually pre-World War II. So this is 1936, and you've got the New Zealand University's team over there being hosted by the Japanese, boarding with them. So the relationship between New Zealand and Japan, you know,
It's quite strong.
yeah, really good. So pretty amazing to think that 4 years later or 5 years later, at war.
Yeah.
So a couple of artworks done here. Derek Parker Little on the right and Morris Bennett on the left are the artists. Both men have sadly passed away, but those are two All Blacks captains. So on the left we can see Richie McCaw, and it's made out of toast. Morris Bennett did toast works around Wellington. Really amazing works, and Morris was a good supporter of the museum. Derek, on the other hand, is more famous for his political work, and when Tana and the team introduced a new haka, I think he was motivated by that gesture of the running the thumb across the chest. The New Zealand forces were actually based in North Africa, and it's not unknown for battalions and units to go around trying to find people who might be better players to swap units, rather nothing to do with the war, only to do with their rugby prowess. Yeah, in their diaries they would record the scores and who the players were and things like that. So. A team in the 1960s which became famous for having farmers, big strong farmers in the forward pack. And so there was a sort of iconic role that farmers took. So that there is Colin Meads. So here he is, you know, got a sheep tucked under each arm and he's wandering around. So the forward pack then dominated by big forwards that were farmers. And they used to say that the backs were all from the universities. Yeah, the backs might be the ones with the nice hair and the smooth looks, but the forwards were the rugged farmers.
They had the power.
Yeah. We had the Springboks of 1981 come here. Half of New Zealand just wanted to get on with the rugby. They wanted to watch it. The other half of New Zealand are all saying, well, no, you can't do that because South Africa is following apartheid policies, right? It's an all-white team that's come to New Zealand. So we saw protests, we saw barbed wire around fields, we saw an aeroplane dive bombing over the field and dropping flares and flower bombs out his window in the final test.
Wow.
It was a really incredible time in New Zealand history. It left a very bitter taste in people's mouths. They actually had the largest police operation in New Zealand history here in Palmerston North. Had 1,000 police on the streets for the day of the game to make sure the game went ahead. 5,000 people came and marched against it.
Wow.
The All Blacks captain, Graham Murray, refused to play.
On a lighter note, there's also the opportunity to test out your rugby skills.
It's George H. Napier II. Goal.
Not quite. Maybe the crew can get it. It might be time for some editing magic. I think my skills might lie elsewhere. Like, for example, in the beverage department. Don't worry, I'll be giving them a good test after the break. I'm in Palmerston North, and before I head further south, it's time for a quick brewery stop. Brew Union is in the heart of town and focuses on local fresh beer and food. I'm chatting with co-founder Jules.
We started this almost 6 years ago.
And it's going very well.
It is, it's going great. A little 1,200 litre brewery that you can see here that we've built from repurposed dairy equipment, fabricated by a local guy, which is pretty cool. A couple of second-hand tanks from another brewery up north, friends of ours that are grown a bit bigger, and we've used those.
You've inherited those?
Yeah, well, we paid for them, but we came into quite an empty shell, and we've reused a lot of the things that were inside that shell on the fit out, and also recycled a lot of timber from around the place. We've reused a lot of the trusses and rafters that were in the site when we originally got here, along
They're
with
gorgeous.
yeah, no, the wood's
as they are
amazing.
now, yeah.
So we're told by our builders that it's a 100-year-old Oregon pine, so they're pretty nice. And a lot of the cladding that we've used in here is stocking from an old ice cream factory.
Oh,
Palmerston
really?
North's first ice cream factory that was sort of the late 1800s, early 1900s, and a lot of the bricks that you can see in the building, there's quite a few of them, they were all locally kilned at a kiln which is still standing just a few k's away from here. So yeah, we're pretty happy with how the place looks.
It is gorgeous. Beautiful space and very local.
This is the whole thing. So 1,200 litre batch brews. We've got 3 fermenters that we're actively using. So we brew probably once a week on average. So we're definitely not, a large scale production brewery, and we don't package our beers in cans or bottles.
Oh, it's all on
It's all
tap.
kegs. It's all these here.
This is it.
Yeah, we've got a few more empty and full kegs lying around the place than this, but this is what we do, and we like to keep the supply chain short. We know who all of our customers are, and we can control the freshness of our product from leaving the brewery to the taps. Most of the beer makes a short trip of about 12 metres into the cool room, and then gets poured on the taps here. So we've got 21 taps in total, of which about half of the beers at any one stage are ours, and the other half are from other independently owned breweries around New Zealand. So yeah, all of our purchasing decisions for beer are based on, are they independently owned, and yeah, which is
Microbrewing sort of
important
at the
to
heart.
us. Yeah. It's
Gorgeous.
got to be good beer, but we like it to be owned by somebody that lives around the place or brews the beer, makes the product. You always get a better quality when that happens. Yeah.
So with the brews that you do here, have you
Yep.
got sort of the core range that you always make and then a few experiments, or?
Yeah, there's definitely a core range that we have here, which is about 8 beers. And then we do have a few seasonals that come on every now and again, or new beers that we like to try, competition beers or things that are in the moment. So we will be shortly going and picking a whole bunch of elderflowers when the elderflower season comes in, and we'll be making an elderflower-based wheat beer, which we made last year on a very small batch. We used our pilot kit and made 1 keg worth of it. So we're going to go big this year and do a whole day of foraging and make 1,200 litres of an elderflower wheat, which would be quite a nice summery drink to have. Yeah.
I'm getting kind of thirsty talking about all this beer.
Well, you're in the right place, funnily enough, George.
Should we go have a taste?
I think so.
Great, let's go.
Excellent.
Quite proud of that segue. If there are drinks on offer, I will find them. I told you my skills lay elsewhere.
So we've got a flight, your flight.
Yeah.
Is this a bespoke flight just for me?
It is. I've chosen these beers just for you.
Great,
Yeah.
love that. What have we got at number 1?
So number 1, just a nice, easy drinking lager. And not enough of them are made, I think.
Yep.
So yeah, I do like a good lager.
Unpretentious, relaxed.
Yep, especially after I've pretended to do a hard day's work. I like to have a lager, so just to settle in. So
We've earned this, George.
yeah, so it's just a little bit of hop character, a little bit of bitterness, and just focusing on just a bit of yeast character in there from the lager.
It's very refreshing.
It's drinkable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good breakfast beer.
Yeah.
Very drinkable.
It's not just beer on offer here either.
So when you do, because you do food and beer pairings here,
Just get some food, get some beer. It's a good time.
that's your pairing.
Yeah, it
Have a
doesn't.
drink, have a munch.
It doesn't need to be too complex, Good beer pairs with good pizza, and that's what we wanted to do when we thought about having a place. Was a small place that had, wood-fired pizza oven, some good beers on tap.
And do you get behind the decks?
No, I don't get behind the decks.
Stick to the brewing.
Stick to. I try and stay away from the brewing as much as possible.
The drinking.
Yeah.
And the flighting.
I'm all about quality control and relationship building, if you will. We have a local guy, Damien D. Fresh McGregor. He has New Zealand's largest collection of local vinyl.
Oh, wow. Sounds
Lovely
great.
fellow to boot. So yeah, big part of the
Tunes, pizza and beer.
yeah.
Great. Speaking of beer, what's the number 2?
Haze is the craze. So this is the one hazy we make. We call swamp juice because Palmerston North is built on a swamp basically.
Right.
So there's a big history of swamps here. We change this brew up every time we make it, and we're generally putting a batch down every 3 to 4 weeks. It's our best-selling beer. So we generally keep the same malt base, around 6.5%, and we switch up what we're doing with the hops. It might be New Zealand hops, American hops, Australian hops, a blend of those, different combinations, different amounts, and how we use them. Mm-hmm. But it's always 6.5%, always the same malt bill. It's a little bit, has a touch of bitterness. We like to have that in there to bring the whole beer into balance, and it sells well. It's probably why we're on batch number 28 or 29 of it, so yeah.
Haze is the craze. I love that.
It is.
Cheers.
Thank you. Yeah, so nice, refreshing, soft, pillowy mouthfeel.
Yeah. That's great.
Might as well keep them coming.
So this is a one-off beer.
Right.
This was a competition beer, entered to the West Coast IPA Challenge, which is my favourite beer competition. 30 to 36 brewers are invited to brew a beer. It's a West Coast IPA. Has to be a West Coast IPA. So there's.
What defines a West Coast IPA?
It is clean, it is bitter, it is hoppy. It's all about the hops. You need a little soft malt cushion there to balance it, some bitterness to bring everything together and counteract the alcohol heat, and you want the hops in there to really sing. That's what it's all about. It's what made craft beer in New Zealand was West Coast IPAs.
Right.
The theme this year was rock music, so we had 30 odd breweries making beers loosely based around rock music. So we made Lupulin Rhapsody. So Lupulin being hop, play on Bohemian Rhapsody from Queen.
Taste the Rhapsody.
It's tasting pretty good, eh?
Yeah. It's like a very gentle kind of flavour.
Yeah, but that bitterness just stays all the way through the palate.
And it's so balanced.
Yeah, we're quite happy with that.
I can see why.
Yeah, it's tasting really good right now. It's about 5 weeks old, so.
Such fresh.
So
beer.
fresh.
Fresh
so
as.
fresh and so clean.
Exactly. Beer number 4.
Beer number 4.
And it's an oatmeal stout.
Correct. So you're going to get some of those sort of velvety notes that you get off the hazy because of the oats, and then a bit more malt in there. A little bit of bitterness and astringency, and a lot of sort of dark fruit character. There's a lot of plum, red berries, that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Let's get into it. Cheers. Oh yeah.
So you can see that one's all about the malt, not about the hops.
You get a little moment and then there it is.
It's just, you've got chocolate and all sorts of wonderful flavours that just carry on your palate.
Yeah. Yum.
Before I go, there is one more thing I need to try. No, not DJing and not more sport.
So you don't just do beer and pizza and events and interior design, there's also gin.
Yes, but we don't do the gin. Friends of ours down in Wellington, Southwoods Distilling, makes a gin for us, with us if you will, to have gone down and made it with them. So we're pretty proud of how it's turned out. So it's a Palmerston North gin, limes and lime leaves from a local lime orchard, a friend of ours, and also some locally foraged kawa, which is a sort of a peppery leaf.
And that's native to New Zealand.
It is, yeah. So me and my daughter went and foraged a whole lot of that from a local garden and took it down and made a gin with them. And we wanted it to be sort of quite a simple gin, but something that was versatile. So it's able to be used for gin and tonics, for cocktails, and through to martini. So it's got enough balance to be used for all of those. So we've got it with a classic New Zealand-made tonic and a slice of local lime.
Delicious.
Cheers.
Yum. So, hello. Oh, pizzas.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This looks like a great time.
Yeah.
Jules, thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, George.
Cheers again. Time for pizza.
Yum.
It's time to leave Palmerston North and head down to Wellington for the Interislander Ferry to the South Island. The Interislander Ferry has been sailing the Cook Strait for over 50 years and has become an iconic experience for all those travelling through New Zealand. Don't mind me, I'm just heading up to the captain's deck to have a little chat with the captain himself.
I'm the captain of the ship, so I'm actually the night master. We sail with two captains. Yeah, so this week I'm doing the dark hours. It can be pretty moody this season. It gets furious, so it can get up really quickly. It's very good weather forecasting though, so for the passengers, you can look and say, oh, that's going to be a rough day. You know, don't go there. And then the ship's a lot bigger than what they used to be, so they travel a lot more comfortably for the people, yeah. And you know, today we've got a couple of metres there, so the ship's just a little bit of movement, and we won't sail it when it gets too rough for passengers. We'll just take cargo and not passengers. There's normally a mountain there with snow on it, and it looks a little bit evasive at the moment. We've just had our 60th anniversary for the shipping company, and they've got great plans ahead. They're redoing the terminals at either end because it's come to the end of the life for this actual variety of ships. The new ships are going to be so much bigger, so they're really going through a great phase of design, and shortly they'll start building. So in about 3 years' time we're going to have a really, really superb looking ship and great terminals and facilities.
The ferries provide a vital link between the North and South Islands, even carrying passenger trains on board.
Absolutely essential, and there's quite often days that the planes can't fly but the ships can still work, and then for the freight that just is the lifeline. There's a lot of product going both north and south. You know, our ship's full at the moment, 2,200 tonnes cargo on board. We've probably got 100 cars as well in amongst it, so tourists, buses, steel, wine, vegetables, a lot of refrigerated goods to the South Island. When they really push this ship, we're doing 6 crossings a day, so it's pretty busy. We're only 50 minutes in port, and you're really turning things around, so yeah. Here we see quite a few dolphins. Whales around October, September, October, November, we'll see quite big whales out here. You come there and it just is spectacular every day. Every day there's something different. It's a pleasure to be on board, you know.
With 6 services a day, the fleet of ferries has proved invaluable to inter-island travel, and has the added bonus of taking in some epic scenery as the ferry passes through the Marlborough Sounds. Next time on the Cellar Door, we're in Marlborough and it's time for wine. See you soon.